for a local company here in the DFW area, and I was backstage, and the guys were talking about their gear, how much it cost, how long it took, and I always find that super interesting because I guess I haven't looked into. Obviously, I don't need gear. I'm just a backstage interview guy, so I just wear some kind of suit and I'll be good. But obviously, there's people who need different gear, and especially if they're working more TV or just wanting, to try different things. How did you get into making gear yourself?
So one, gear's expensive, like you said.
Yeah.
So when I first got in, there wasn't a lot of places to get gear made. It was hard to find gear makers. K&H was one of the main places, and that was where I got my first set of gear. And we actually drove to Ohio and did like a field trip kind of deal and bought gear and everything, some pre-made stuff, and then we'd order some things. But then, what was it, maybe around 2010 or so? Might have been before that. I was trying to get new gear made for a revamp on the gimmick and all that, and I had Matt Striker, HWA Matt Striker, not WWE Matt Striker, a different Matt Striker.
Gotcha.
There's two Matt Strikers, not both of them, but I make sure I clarify. He was making gear, so I hit him up and I was like, "Hey, I need a mask and I need like new tights and this and that, mate." And he's like, "Okay." And it took him forever to get it. Just like, not dogging on him. He just had so much going on. And what I had was pretty detailed. And then by the time I did get it, it still wasn't quite right. And I'm OCD on stuff, so like I'll usually figure out how to make something myself if I want it, because I know I'm picky. So I finally got my stuff from him in that though, and I was like, all right, this will work. It's no big deal. And I got looking at it, and I was like, you know what, I could probably make this. My grandmother was a seamstress. She made dresses and stuff for the people at the racetracks and stuff for the horse races. She made dresses for them and did work on the jockey outfits and all that. She could make anything. A great grandmother. So I just sat down and started taking stuff apart one day and making my own stuff. And yeah, and it's a process, especially with spandex and stretch materials. It's a process.
Right.
And after making myself a few outfits and figuring things out, of course, people are like, "Oh, who makes your gear?" I'm like, "Well, I make it myself." And so, of course, it starts off small. Your buddies are like, "Hey, can you make me this? Can you make me that?" "Yeah, sure." Try different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the next thing you know, you have a room full of fabric and sewing machines and this and that and everything else, because it accumulates like a hoarder. So yeah, I learned just from Mom showing me a few little things, trial and error. YouTube was a big help. I would hit up guys like Mike Woody and Coy Phillips, and Congo Kong makes some awesome stuff. Hillbilly Jed, and like, "Hey, what do you do for this? What do you think about that?" And now I still do the same thing, making stuff. I'm working on gear now actually for a couple guys. Aaron Williams just sent me another design that he wants. I make all of his gear. It's turned into a nice little business at home. I can work from home when I'm not wrestling and stuff. And if I don't have gear orders to make, I can make pre-made stuff, or I can do something out of the shop and put it up for sale, things like that, or do tutorials and social media. So it kind of blossomed out of necessity, but then it turned into something I just really enjoy doing and ended up actually being decent at. So.
I mean, it also extends your longevity in the business as well, because, once you decide to hang it up, you can obviously just continue to make gear for people, and, you're still in the business.
Yeah, that's kind of one of my thoughts. Like, once I'm done in ring, which I'll probably be like Ricky, and then I'll go until the wheels fall off. I can do that from home, and then I like to teach too. I've been doing some seminars here and there and some teaching and classes on like character development and psychology and health and wellness on the road, because that's a big thing. I'm big on mental health and meditation and making sure you take care of yourself on the road and this and that, keeping good habits. Because that's a big thing. That's another thing that, and like longevity is kind of what it goes into. So anytime I do a class, we do, character breakdowns, psychology, promos, little intricacies on how to work things into your gimmick and make little tiny things mean the most and maximizing your movements and all that. And then we'll also do about a 30-minute sit down on just like mental health and how to take care of yourself on the road and trying to avoid burnout and things like that, and balance, like work-life balance.
Yeah, I was going to get into that because I know that meditation is, in, like you said, mental health is a huge thing for you. When did you start really paying more attention to that? And, I guess tell us about your practices, especially on the road, because I imagine it can be, you're going from the highest to the high performing, and then afterwards you're either in a car by yourself or you're in a hotel room by yourself. So, you got to find a way to come down that's, it's in the 80s anymore. We're not all on drugs. So how do you kind of how do we handle it all?
Yeah, it's weird because you do. I mean, you kind of hit that on the nail on the head on that one. You do spend a lot of time alone with it being such a public business. You're driving to the shows, sometimes 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever, sometimes longer, and you might be by yourself or you might be with a car full of people. But either way, you get those long drives by yourself. And you also have to, if you have a car full of people too, different people have different habits. So you've got to pick and choose who you want to drive with and if you're going to be influenceable by those habits too, which not knocking anybody's habits. If somebody smokes or this or that, I've done my share, and I like, edibles and things like that here and there for anxiety and to calm down, but some people do get carried away with it. And and I tell people, like, you've got to watch your limits because there's some people that'll do it just for the high, and there's some people that do it to help cope. And there are differences.
Yep.
And you have to find your niche for that, and if that means not traveling with certain people, don't take that as you're being insulting. It's just you're looking out for yourself. It's okay to say no to stuff. A lot of greener kids don't want to do that. They want to be like, oh, I don't want to be that guy to say no. They're trying to take me somewhere. I'm like, yeah, but you don't want to wind up down the wrong road too, and wind up in fucking rehab.
True.
Like for mine, I'm not real easily peer pressured into stuff. So that's a big crush for me. Like if I don't want to do something, I don't want to do it. But at the same time, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it well. That can also be a bad thing. I've never had any issues with that. Luckily, knock on wood there. But the meditative aspect, a lot of that really came, I was always into Eastern philosophy and Eastern medical practices and Chinese martial arts and Japanese and Asian culture and stuff like that, which is odd because my family is Scottish. So it's like, yeah. So, my family's Scottish and Italian. So go figure. Yeah. So, but my mom said that. Mom was like, I'm pretty sure there's some Asian somewhere in there because you're just too into this. I'm like, I don't know. But I got more so into it, and I guess this is more of a personal note. Like I went through a divorce like years ago when I was younger. Wonderful wife, excellent, wonderful person. We just had some issues, both did some dumb stuff. I did more dumb stuff than she did. We didn't know how to fix it because we were young and dumb. Yeah, stuff happens. But we're best of friends now as it is. So we talk on a regular, and she checks on my mom and my kids. I check on her and hers, still talk to her son. So, all good there. But that was a really rough time because I get really bad imposter syndrome. So, like, one of those things where you don't feel like you really deserve a lot of stuff. So I had to address that, and meditation and self-talk and just a lot of self-reflecting really came in really came in handy there. And that actually led me to getting my massage degree. Actually, I have a license. I'm a licensed massage therapist too.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I went to community college when I moved back home after that, and I got my associate's degree in health and wellness. got my massage degree, did some more studies on like Eastern philosophy and Eastern medicine. And that really translated over well to the wrestling with the travel and taking better care of yourself, staying flexible, keeping your head straight, knowing what to do and what not to do and weighing out things to work safe. And it helped with the psychology a lot too, because when you're studying things like Eastern philosophy and psychology and that, you pick up on human traits and what makes sense and how people react to what and what you can use where. So I was starting to watch how people would react to certain things more. I was like, man, this really applies to wrestling and to life too. Like you can tell a story with this. And it's carried over to so many different things, from teaching to storytelling to wrestling to life, home stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I guess walk us through your kind of meditation practice. Like what is, do you one time a day, multiple times a day? How do you kind of meditate?
More of an as needed kind of thing. I try to, at least in the morning. My routine, if I stick with it, like as of right now, and you can do it in a number of different ways. I'll get up and I'll get the kids at school. And then after I drop them off, I'll go to the gym. And which I'm a Planet Fitness guy. I'll go there. I'm looking to get a membership at this Sporta because they have a sauna. But and I like to tan. I know it's not the best thing for you, as people say, but I use a UV. Yeah, I use like a hybrid UV red light bed, so it's not supposed to be bad for your skin, but it's warm and it's relaxing. And I don't turn any music or anything on. I just listen to the hum of the bulbs and stuff. I turn everything else off, even put earplugs in if I have to. And I just listen to like either the hum of the bulbs or breathe, because it's a 15-minute session. So that 15 minutes is just my breathing time, my downtime. I get focused. I think of what I'm going to do for the day. And then I'll go out and I'll do my cardio, which is usually about another 15 minutes on the treadmill. And that's when I'll put my headphones in and I'll listen to like whatever kind of self-talk I want to listen to for the day, whether it's, something philosophy-wise. It could be Gary V, just something to kind of get your brain going. And I'll plan out what I want to do for the day that way. And then whatever else I'm going to do for my workout, whether it's body weight stuff, this, that, whatever. And then I'll sit and get my post-workout, like whatever I'm going to eat and drink. If I'm fasting, it's just a drink or a shake or something. And I'll write down in my journal, kind of like any thoughts I got, what else I want to do for the day, like a checklist. And then that's kind of my start to the morning. I try to do that at least 3 or 4 times a week. If it's a show day, I'll do that before a show, like before a match. Because most people will like, yeah, Zodi will disappear for 15, 20 minutes. You won't see him. You won't know where he's at. And I do. I just disappear. Or you'll see me sitting in my chair, head down, eyes closed. And it's funny, the newer people that don't know me and that well, they're like, is he okay? He's like, he's just zenning out. Like, he's good. He's just getting focused. Like, it's just what he does.
Yeah. I mean, some people do it with music, and some people do it with meditation. There's nothing wrong there.
Yeah. I do a mix of both. Like, I think they're all good. I don't listen to a lot of music per se. I listen to a lot of like different talk radio, different speakers. I like that. And then it's weird, if I do listen to music, like if I'm working in the shop or doing something repetitive, especially, I've found I like lo-fi hip hop and lo-fi Japanese music, where it's the backbeats and stuff. It's just really relaxing, and for some reason it helps me focus.
Well, that's what I have on my in-between music on this podcast, so you'll love it whenever you hear it.
Oh, okay, awesome. I came across that by happenstance too. It was just a random thing. I was looking up, what was it I looked up? I think I looked up like relaxing Japanese music or something, because I wanted something in the background while I was working. And I was like, let me look up like Japanese hip hop, just because, K-pop, something like that. And that lo-fi Japanese hip hop music came up, and it was like a mix of traditional instruments and like new wave electronic and synthesizers and this and that. I was like, this is really cool. And I noticed I got a lot of work done when I was listening to it, because you just get in kind of a vibe. and it's relaxing. And I would check my blood pressure. I was like, man, my blood pressure is down. This